honestly," I replied. "Would I lie to you, Antonito?" He smiled at that, and brushed the tear stains from his cheeks. I felt I'd said the right thing. "Are you going to come down now and pick up that glass with me?" I asked him. "And then you can make your peace with your mother when she comes back, can't you?" But I could tell he wasn't listening to me even as I was speaking. "Abuelo," he said, "when you were little, what was the very worstest thing you ever did?" I hadn't thought he would take it any further. I was on the spot now. I had a mountain of worstest things to choose from, but he'd asked me for the very worstest, and I knew at once what that was. I'd told no one else at near enough 70 years. Not the real story, not all of it. It seemed somehow the moment to tell it, and it seemed too that if anyone had a right to know it, it was my grandson. I felt it was in some way his birthright, his inheritance. I knew too that he expected the truth from me, so I told him the truth, the whole truth. "If I tell you something, Antonito," I said, "it'll have to be our secret. No one else must know, not until you're a father yourself, and then you can tell your own children. That's only as it should be. After all, it's our history I'm talking about. Yours and theirs too. Not a word till then, promise?" "Promise," he said. And I knew he meant it. I could feel his eyes willing me on. So I began. I haven't always lived here in town in Malaga, but you know that already, don't you? I've told you before, haven't I? How I was born on a farm, how I grew up in the countryside with animals all around me. Over the years, I'd told him dozens of tales about my country childhood in Andalucia. He loved to hear all about the animals, but I'd promised him something much more exciting this time, and I could see he was full of expectation. This is not just another of my animal stories, Antonito. Well, in one sense, it is, I suppose. But this is the most important story I could tell you, because this story changed my life forever. I'll begin at the beginning, shall I? I was born in a small farmhouse just outside the village of Sorcida on the 1st of May, 1930. There was my older sister Maria, 10 years older than me to the day, and mother and father. Just the 4 of us. We had uncles and aunts and cousins all round, of course. The whole village was like one big family. But we can skip all that. It was another birth about 5 years after my own that really began it all. The farm didn't belong to Father. Hardly anyone owned the land they worked on in those days. We just farmed it. It was a hard life, but I knew little of that. For me, it was a magical place to grow up. There were cork forests all around. We'd harvest the cork and cut it off the trees every 9 years to make corks for wine bottles. We had our little black pigs wandering everywhere and dozens of goats for our milk and cheese, and chickens too. Never short of eggs for an omelette. We had mules too for bringing the cork down from the hillsides, and horses. Everyone had horses or mules in those days. I could ride almost as soon as I could walk. But mostly it was cows we kept, not those lovely reddy brown rositos you often see out in the countryside. Ours were black and beautiful and brave. My father bred only black bulls for the corrida, for the bull ring. We must have had 50 or 60 of them, I suppose, counting all the calves. Magnificent they were, the best in all Andalucia, my father always said. As a small boy, I'd spend hours and hours standing on the fence just watching them, marvelling at their wild eyes, their wicked-looking horns, their shining coats. I loved it when they lifted their heads and snorted at me, when they pawed the ground, kicking up great clouds of dust and dirt. To me, they were simply the noblest, the most exciting creatures on God's earth. At that